We're just logging in now. Going to get it going in a bit. I'm going to play this song to start, just to advertise the quiz show. Just to advertise the quiz show. And this is, if you've heard that song, it's the quiz show on the. Anyway, that's how it goes. But this is the Welsh male voice choir version. So the quiz show will be on tomorrow night. It's the Welsh male voice choir version of my song, The Quiz Show.
Isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau, isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau, isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau. Oh fuck! Is it only Monday night? Isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau, isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau. Oh, isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau. Oh fuck, is it only Monday night? Oh, isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau, isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau, isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau. Oh fuck, is it only Monday night? Isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau, isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau, isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau. Oh fuck, is it only Monday night? Bydd ei ringrwydd yn oedi a'i wobrau'n wel, ac rwy'n eithaf siŵr nad yw erioed wedi cymryd y pigiad ffwc, ond gan eich bod chi gyd allan o danwy, oherwydd bod eich llywodraethau wedi eich twylo chi. Ble arall allwch chi fynd feli? Dewch i fan i fonedigion a boneddigion, a dewch i lawr i caffe locked-out oherwydd isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau, isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau, isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau. Oh fuck, is it only Monday night? Dewch ymlaen bawb, canwch gyda'r gan! Isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau, isio egwys ar ei cloedd i hau. Oh fuck, is it really only Monday night?
There you go, Welsh male voice choir version. Good morning, Mr. Stapleton. How you doing? You're sounding a bit blurry. Hopefully that's not gonna. That's not my thing. I've got Starlink going and stuff like this. So, do I look blurry to you?
No, clear as a bell.
Oh, okay.
Hyper real, in
Good.
fact.
Okay, now you've written an article about Mianna this morning, which is really interesting. So, should we just get in our guest, or is there anything else you'd like to say before we do?
Or do you want me to just do a little intro or what?
Yeah, sure. I love your intros. Go ahead.
We can do a little intro. So look, this story came about. Michael interviewed someone was telling him about a story about a young transitioner who had taken a life a few years after transition, and there's a lot of academic support for transitioning and zero academic support for studies to see what happens afterwards. So he writes, her or his death did not make the news. At best, they might be populating a statistic eventually. But Mianna transitioned over 30 years ago, and her journey was different. Society then forced anyone who wanted to transition to jump through numerous hoops with one goal: to make sure they, the transitioner, and the surgical team were all convinced that this was the correct course of action. Since then, Mianna has played professional golf and travelled the world. It hasn't always been easy, but that's life. And it's relatively rare thing in Australia. When an old sub-editor where I worked at the Sydney Morning Herald transitioned back in the 80s, and there's a very famous book called Conundrum about transitioning, which I think was from the 70s, famous travel writer at the time. But it's relatively rare to have someone with this level of experience. So we'd like to welcome Mianna on to Cafe Lockdown.
Here she is.
Well, hello, both of you.
How are
Michael,
you?
lovely to see you again. And,
Lovely to see you, babe.
hey,
Yeah.
lovely to meet you too, John.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, last time I think I saw you was at the Adelaide thing where I was dressed as a hippie.
Yeah, I think that's
You
one
were
of the
the
last
hippie.
times. Yeah, well,
Yeah, I was a hippie. It's like Superman. I just took it off, and underneath I was super hippie.
you just got dressed, you mean?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Now, but first off, how have you been?
Look, I've been well for the most part, up and down. We're all putting up with this shit show in the world today. So we all
Yeah.
have our trials and tribulations, I think, and we do the best to get through it.
Yeah. Well, look, the reason I reached out was I interviewed these, like John said, I interviewed these cleaners, trauma cleaners, and they showed me just a still of where a young 30-year-old transitioner had taken their life. And it was just so sad and so nothing, you know what I mean? I thought, what's their story? We never get to hear, and were they ready for this? Had they been left behind? And that's why I find you so important, because you've done it, but when you did it in your time, it was different. And I just wanted to talk about that. So it's not anti-trans at all. It's more just, do we owe a duty of care to these people who were born in the wrong body? Feel that they are. This is how it is. Who are we to judge that? You know what I mean? So how would you like to go about sharing this discussion from yourself, Mianna?
Look, I don't know. Let's just let it evolve. You guys ask the questions you feel you need to ask. But I guess at some point there's probably things that I can probably speak to and tell that people might not know to ask about. And that's kind of primarily it was my life, as a touring golfer. I was a, touring pro on the women's tour for 11 years, playing European tour for those that aren't familiar. And obviously I had a lot of global media attention because I was the first openly transitioned woman to do what I was doing. But there's just, obviously it's a very poorly understood issue. But the thing is, there's no reason people should be have knowledge about this issue because it's such a rare thing. And if it doesn't come across your path, well, why should you look into it? Obviously, it's come to the fore a bit more in recent years. So it's we see it on, well, I don't watch TV, but we see it splashed around everywhere all the time. And we're seeing ever increasing rates of kids that are transitioning. But more alarmingly is probably the number of girls that are transitioning. That has gone through the roof. And I think there's so many different dynamics at play. And from our call the other day, Michael, that it would seem probably the main issue is the path to transition has changed significantly from when I transitioned. And I think that's probably the core of the issue. I read, I think it was your article this morning, John. Michael sent it to me. And a really well researched article too.
Courtesy of Grok rather than me. Anyway.
Okay. Well, look,
Yeah,
at least,
Grok.
He typed the prompt. He typed the prompt. He said, "Write me another one."
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I
was surprised. I thought, geez, he's really dug into this in the last couple of days. Well, there you go.
I wrote the bottom myself.
Yeah. There's, when I went through transition, you really had to jump through hoops, and you really, really had to convince doctors and everyone around you that this was the right choice for us, for me, going through it, because it's permanent and it's irreversible. That's it. You go through, especially surgical intervention, that's it. You don't put the bits back. And for girls going through this, they go through having the changes with testosterone and having breasts removed. Oh my God. I mean,
I'm
You
just
know,
going to
they
show
make
this
the wrong
picture. I didn't
decision.
want to do it, but this is because the interesting thing about this, Mianna, is when you transitioned, you didn't have access really to Instagram, what did you? You know, it wasn't a,
No,
oh, I'm
no,
going to transition. I'm going to put my whole journey online so you can follow me. Do you know, which
no, there wasn't.
Yeah.
There wasn't the reinforcement, and it really, I don't know if it's the right term to use, but it almost seems to have become trendy today. And then there's
that's my fear.
Yeah,
There's a lot of people
and
call it a social contagion. Do you think that's fair enough?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
a social contagion.
I would
Plus, there's
agree.
billions of dollars
I think it's quite awful.
Billions and billions.
And you know, the amount of the pressure some kids feel, and obviously we know what it's like as kids, you know, with all of our insecurities and changes going on around us and peer group pressure, and to find something to hang on our hook, to cling to, go, oh, that's me, great, to feel a belonging. I think that's probably something as kids that is so crucial. But this is a huge thing to hang on your hook and to go through with gusto. And unfortunately, as we're seeing that so many are getting caught up almost in this momentum and the rah-rah and yes, you're amazing, you're so courageous, oh, this is so cool, this is really good, and go through it and then come out the end, and it's almost like someone removes the veil and they go snap, and then wake up and go, shit, what have I just done?
Yeah.
Like this
have you ever had that yourself? Have you ever had any regret?
Oh, no, none at all.
No, it was right for you.
Yeah. But I mean, like I said, I was seeing a psychiatrist for 7 years prior to this, because I mean, I went there myself. Do I believe?
I did an essay at university on the.
That's Jason.
No, I've actually played with Yanni's saying once. I played a practice round at Royal Sydney, and
oh, really?
Look, I don't know. I wouldn't see Yanni. Look, just a look. There's so many.
I don't know it is. I don't follow sport at all. I've got to look.
Oh, Yanni was a rock star. What a player! Wow, just, number one for a while, and it's really kind of tearing through it. But anyway, I digressed. Sorry.
No, I interviewed. I did a assignment for university back in the 1970s, interviewing all the drag queens in Sydney, right? And they all said the same thing. This was before transitioning became an easy thing, and they all said the same thing, basically, that they felt like they'd been born in the wrong body. But it was incredibly rare, to your point. Do you think that's right? That people just feel like they've been born in the wrong body, or?
Look, I guess it's an easy phrase to use to explain it. I don't really like using the term. I mean, my view is still, look, this is one of the weirdest things on the planet. Seriously, you know, how can somebody be born so wrong in this context? I still don't get it today. I still don't think it makes sense. I do believe fundamentally it's a mental illness, fundamentally. And, you know, for many of us, we just doing the best we can. I mean, I lived for years with this kind of anxiety, depression, all the various issues along the way, and which got to a point of really deep depression and, you know, suicidal, and just thought, look, I can't do this anymore. I tried almost every other avenue or hoop that I could go through to question and challenge this myself, even by seeing a psychiatrist. And I just thought, look, okay, I've got to do this. I can't go on anymore. It's either death, or I'm going to make the best effort at life. So, and you know, here I am, whatever it is, how many, 31 years later, you know, 95. I guess I started transition in about 92. So, you know, this brings in another dynamic as well, which is what's termed the lived, what do they call it? The real life test, or the lived test. Where you've got to kind of live as your adopted sex, if you like, and really prove to yourself, but also the doctors around, that you can function in normal daily life, working, friends, social life, everything, and get through. Like it's not, surgery isn't going to change any of that. We're not going to all of a sudden, it's not like we're going to blossom like a caterpillar into a butterfly and come out of this cocoon. It doesn't happen. Like nothing's different. You go through and have surgery, and you're the same person you was the day before. It's
Yeah, that must have
different.
been amazing. Yeah,
Still feel
You know,
you know,
yeah.
yeah.
So, and it's funny because John, you actually mentioned. Well, I don't know if you know your article referenced the introduction of the gender reassignment clinic or a team in Melbourne in the 70s with two doctors.
Yeah.
One was Trudy Kennedy, and I actually saw Trudy Kennedy once,
Wow.
and they had an appointment. To tell you what, she scared the crap out of me.
Why?
Really, well, I don't know. For those people that have seen psychiatrists, they you know their role is to challenge you, really like poke you, not be comforting and oh you poor thing and come in, oh let's just no, like they've
Yeah.
really got to kind of poke it because they've got to pick things out of you, and especially with this kind of thing going in for surgery, they're they got to come in and go, you want to do what? Come
Yeah.
on, seriously, and really kind of pick
It's
away.
gonna
And I saw
happen. It's
Trudy,
gonna happen. You happy for that?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I thought,
Yeah.
oh my God. And I left Trudy Kennedy thinking, oh shit, okay, maybe I'll just have a good think about this. But, the rest is history. But, I feel, and I had to see, what was it, two psychologists or two psychiatrists and a psychologist. There was 3 doctors before the surgeon would even agree to conducting the surgery. So the surgeon...
So how long did you see them for? So it was about a year's process to go through hoops, I think.
No, so I mean, my own psychiatrist was many years, like I said, 7 odd years. But as far as this team, they were kind of, or should we say, the final hurdle or the final step for going into surgery, because they were the team that provided, for example, the approval or authority to the surgeon. So you'd have to take a letter to the surgeon to say, yes, this person is in this sort of condition, we believe to be appropriate for this course of action, just to cover the surgeon legally, just so people don't come back and, oh, you shouldn't have operated on me and you should have checked things better. It's like, no. The surgeon wasn't going to operate without this letter of approval from 2 psychiatrists and psychologists, and you really had to jump through it. And for me as well, I mean, like you asked, John, if there was any regrets, no, never. It's never been something that's occurred to me. And really, I knew life wasn't going to be the perfect kind of butterfly moment that we'd all love it to be, and the beautiful princess comes out of a cocoon and we live a wonderful, happy life ever after. Yeah, it's a tough journey. And so that's another aspect that you've got to be prepared for, that life doesn't necessarily just become easy and go back to normal. This is more or less, with us for the rest of our lives, that we've got to deal with in some avenue or other. For me, of course, I went the extreme. I dealt with it in a very public way, an internationally public profile, but I just love being me. I could present me to the world. Here I am. I've got nothing to hide, and even if I can help provide some more clarity and help inform people a bit more, great, which I kind of did.
Can I ask, when you were going through it, you go, John.
Were there people who professionally resented you in sport? Was that
not
an
openly?
issue?
No, not
Like the
that
whole
I ever
drama
had.
over wrestling. Yeah.
So I think I'd like to think, because I was always open about my life, and I was open when I got on tour. I really made a point of talking with all of the girls and letting them have a conversations if anyone wanted to. But the thing is, on tour, you're with professional athletes. They're out there to win. They've got a job to do. They don't give a shit what other people are doing. It's like, come on out. It's like Laura Davies and the players from the US. It's just like, bring it on. I'm here to win. If you think you can beat me, come on out. And that was their headspace. And so, it didn't take too long. I was pretty much just another one of the girls on tour doing my best to, kind of pursue a dream.
Was it a lonely journey initially? I know you went public at the end, but I only mean lonely because you're trying to meet someone to make them understand, I feel like I'm in the wrong body, where most people might struggle to comprehend that. And then at the same time, because it's something so rare you're going through, do you have to get other people to understand it? I mean, I don't have to justify decisions I make in my life to anyone but me.
No, I know it's an interesting question. You used the phrase that I went public in the end. No, I was public in the beginning, and
Oh, I didn't know that. Okay,
yeah, it was
that's
from the very
interesting.
beginning. I mean, I was
Wow.
public in amateur golf because ended up winning a state amateur in South Australia in
Uh,
1999.
in your previous
No.
as a
After
time.
transitioned when I got back
Oh,
into
after you
playing golf again.
transitioned. Okay. Yeah.
But even
Were you playing
everyone
golf
because
before?
yeah, I've been playing golf since I was 8 years old.
Okay.
And
Okay.
yeah, but when I then went through transition, I didn't play for about 5 years. I barely touched a golf club. And then I started playing
Okay.
golf again because I love golf.
Yeah.
And anyway, and then I practice, I get better. And I've been invited into golf the whole way. I never expected that I'd be able to do this. When I did transition, I crossed professional golf off the list. It's like, okay, nice dream, but let's just, forget that one. But then I got invited to join, amateur golf teams and play events, and the kind of the journey went on from there. But the human dynamic is this thing of fear of the unknown, and I was this unknown, and I very quickly learned that just speaking about my life got rid of that fear for people. It kind of shattered
Yeah.
it, and then people move on. And so by being open in the golf world and with all of the players, I just felt removed that stigma and questions they had. And I was like, oh yeah, okay, just keep going. Most of them ended up, they forgot about it, after a year
Yeah.
or so. And I was just another one on tour.
Yeah.
Really.
I saw that in Tasmania. I was working Rest Point Casino, and this maybe about 30 years ago too, and there was a transitioned woman there on the front desk all night. And I think there was a novelty when she first turned up. We're all thinking, wow, you know what I mean? This is because you don't meet them rare. It's like meeting unicorn. You know what I mean? They're rare. And so you wanting to know, but I didn't personally see anyone give much of a shit. They were just more just interested,
No,
and so the story they're pushing now, and like I know the Premier of Victoria pushes it constantly. Like there's this trans genocide going on. There's people want to transition, and there's all this hatred towards them. Have you experienced lots of hatred because of your
no,
journey?
no. Look, no. I mean, there was the occasional email, but not really. It's all been a pretty amazing journey for me, really. I can't claim any kind of oppression or victimhood or anything. I mean, my life is beyond what I expected it might have been. I'm so very grateful every single day, and the journey that I've had. I literally pinch myself to where I've gotten to today. But I guess, the discussion is not really so much about my life. It is about the issue of where transition has gotten to and gender dysphoria. And a lot of things, I think, get blurred, one, by language and terminology that we use. And I think that needs to be clarified. And I've said that even in recent interviews in recent years. For example, there's been the adoption of the word trans, but trans or transgender has become completely meaningless. And I've used the phrase before that it pretty much refers to anyone that with blue hair that might sort of feel a bit different to someone like myself as a transsexual man or woman, or anything in between. So it doesn't mean anything. But for example, while I'm not a huge fan of the word transsexual men and women, that implies that someone has been through an entire process, diagnosed with gender dysphoria, whatever that is, and had eventual surgery, and then basically carry on with life. So it's a very descriptive term that has context. Trans has no context. So when you say trans men or women in sport, or trans something being included somewhere, it's not saying anything. So we need to be more specific. Now, as far as the treatment, so we spoke about this, Michael, which the more recent adoption in recent years is what they term the affirmation model. And it's gone from having to jump through hoops and being challenged every step of the way to basically going to a doctor and saying, look, I think I feel like a boy or I feel like a girl. Oh, here you go. Let's better affirm this model and affirm this child and just give them the drugs or whatever treatment they tell us that they need. So did we lose Michael or?
No.
He's gone to, he's having internet issues. Well, I have been too.
There we go.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm still here. I'm still hearing it, everything you're saying.
All right,
yeah.
all right, cool.
So look, on this issue, but
yeah, but
on
maybe
this
just finish
issue,
on it, John. Yeah, sorry, a bit of a delay there. So look, I haven't kept up to date with the specifics and details of treatment protocol, so I can't really speak too much to it with any real authority, but I just know generally. And of course, we all in the public around us are seeing the exponentially increasing rates of kids that are getting transition, but also the problems that go along with it. So there's clearly something wrong with it. And I don't think, in my personal view, that an immense step like this should be granted fleetingly. That anyone should be jumping through hoops to do this, and for the care of the child. Well,
that's why I got you on. To me, I feel when you told me about the journey you went through, where you had to go through all the psychologists and everything, it's like the state was caring for you. It's like the state's acknowledging that you really might have a problem. They're testing you to make sure you're not just on a whim thinking, oh, this is an easy fix, which is, of course, not an easy fix. So it seemed to me like the state was actually caring for you, and it successfully did it. It worked. You transitioned, and here you are. You've got no regrets. So I feel like we already had it right. We already had the model right. If you were one of those people who's been born with gender dysphoria, or you just feel that way, you're an adult, you want to make the journey. And I don't know, I just feel instead of progressing, we've degressed. And now there's, I don't know, that's a word. And now and here we are and now we're sort of, my fear is that I see like those girls we posted without their breasts, is that we are making it a story that a disenfranchised young person can get some attention from. And suddenly they off on this journey, and everyone follows the journey, so they're getting more popular until they finally transitioned. And I can't prove this, but my fear is that once they've completely transitioned, everyone sort of moves on to the next internet, whatever it is. And this person who might not have wanted to got here, and this is what the detransitioners talk about, that suddenly I got here and now I can't get back. And so I think it's such a profound journey that we need a duty of care to those who want to take it, to make sure, just to give them the best chance of having the best life they can, with trying to fix this problem that they have. It seems reasonable and caring and empathetic.
Yeah, I mean, look, in my view as well. Go ahead, John.
Oh, it's also essentially in secret, isn't it? It's not widely discussed at all. I mean, the figures are really clear. What you're talking about, a massive growth. Australian Ministry of Records indicate initiations rose from 1,118 in 2013 to 5,135 in 2024. And between 2012 and 2024, over 20,000 individuals started estradiol, I can't pronounce it, based treatment, and nearly 12,000 started testosterone-based treatment. It's been a really rapid increase, as the stats show.
Yeah.
How much do you think it's appropriate that the government is funding an enormous amount of this? Most of these are, it's on Medicare, it's in public-funded institutions, and so on and so forth.
Look, I don't know if I can really speak to that, to be honest. I don't know what's
should the taxpayer be paying for this?
Look, I would say
I'd like to be a part of that conversation.
I'd say if anything is, shall we say, a recognized medical condition, then if medical conditions are getting covered by tax or by Medicare or whatever it is, then why not this? If it is recognized condition. Back when I transitioned, it wasn't, and we had to pay for it ourselves. So what was covered, for example, some basic things were covered under Medicare, I had private health cover, so that covered the an operating room visit as well as an anaesthetist. They're just kind of a general service. But for the specific surgery, it was deemed elective cosmetic surgery, and we had to pay for it. And obviously, it wasn't expensive then as it is now. But again, this is all relative. So it's this context. If it's recognised as some form of medical condition, well, sure, then it should be funded. But let's say, if we could say someone wanting a nose fix or some big boobs or something like that. I mean, you can't really argue that's a medical condition. That's an elective cosmetic procedure. Sure, you go and pay for that. So that one, I think, for an appropriate medical condition and appropriate protocol leading up to it, sure, why not?
Can we talk about the other issue going on now? I think you brought up the affirmation model, where, here's this kid, I want to be a girl, I want to be a boy. Okay, straight onto puberty blockers, let's go. And this is my concern. It's about the children, even young teens, even in the early 18s, 20s, because that's my concern, is making it too easy and almost like pushing them. And this is what they're saying now, that the teachers actually actively ask the kids, if this is what we're hearing, if they're thinking they could be in the wrong body, wrong genders, and the child doesn't, and the teacher and the child don't have to tell the parents, so the parents don't know. And that if the parents do find out, and because I was speaking to a dad whose son wanted to transition, and the dad was clearly told if he doesn't support it, the child will be removed.
It's just outrageous.
Yeah, this is my thing. This is crazy town. You know what I mean? And
yeah,
where it's more. This is a really serious medical condition that has the chance of a good outcome, and you're evidence of that. Despite everything, this is it. Here you are. You've said yourself, no regrets. And that's what I think, that I just can't understand why we're having discussion, why we're just sort of pushing this, because you live on the road too. And it amazes me, we go down to town, and Tucker Carlson said it's like religion now. Trans flags everywhere. This is a LGBT friendly town. Like, I think some town I went into, so what, previous to the post, what you were poofter bashing like crazy and go, guys, we got to stop now, this is old fashioned now, put up the poster. Now we've got to, it's just like it's been forced down our throats. And because it's been forced down our throats, I think it's raising animosity towards this instead of actually being, to me, I don't know. I mean, look, we grew up with Danny LaRue. We grew up with things around us, Eddie Izzard and all these things. No one gave a crap. They were funny. We seem to have been accepting it. And you're evidence of that too, that you haven't had that much trouble. So it's almost like making a problem where there's no problem, and then we're the problem now. It's
so
just
for
all
me,
crazy. We've got these dead kids.
Yeah, I know. For me, this is part of a much broader issue that we need to step back, which is our kind of woke society.
I think John's on the way. Not good. Constipated. Yeah, you got a bit of delay there, John. You sounded like you just came out constipated. Maybe have another go.
You haven't got anything else running in the background on your computer, John?
Yeah, can you hear us, John? You just really froze and
just broke. You might even want to try popping back in.
I actually think this is the beauty of you, Mianna, that you actually can, you've been through, you can say, listen, guys, this is, it's, I don't know. It's,
well, if I can go back to what I was saying, I think we just have a society now where,
$100 billion.
I'll kick him out and see if he can.
Maybe I'll wait till John comes back. Shall we wait for him, or shall I keep going?
He'll come back. No, keep going. He'll come back.
Yeah. So we've got the society where, as we know, like nobody's allowed to have any obstacles in front of them. We're not allowed
That's
to put
right.
anything where people have to justify their existence and get over obstacles and hurdles in life. But this is fundamental to our lives as human beings. We need
Yeah.
to overcome adversity. We
Yeah.
need to have challenges, and we need to reach a sense of accomplishment. And without that, we start creating problems. And it's really interesting. A couple of years ago, I listened a few times to, I don't know if you know, Germ Warfare, the South African guy, does a fantastic podcast. Really touches. If you haven't heard him, Michael,
Talking
you
about
should
you
touch
conspiracy
him.
theorists, Mianna. We're trying to reach a different crowd.
No, but Germ is just such a young larrikin guy, and touches on some interesting topics. But he had a psychiatrist on, I think it was Dr. Mark Holland, and they talked about this aspect of a dynamic of today where, kids are so protected these days that they don't have to aspire, they don't have to overcome obstacles. There's no sense of achievement. And the thing is, in human nature, we need to be aspiring or working towards something. And in his words as a psychiatrist, that if kids don't have something to strive for, they'll start creating problems. And you start creating problems, and then you can claim victimhood. Oh, and I'm one of these, and don't you oppress me, and don't you discriminate against me. And then they've got something to fight for. They've got a place for it. And he was tying all of this back to this increase of gender dysphoria and issues in society. But here we've got parents and schools and everyone going, oh, don't you make my child have any obstacles, or they've got to have a really smooth journey. And we've all become familiar with that term of helicopter parents. But I had a lovely friend in Adelaide, and she actually escalated it to lawnmower parents, basically holding the kid in one arm and then getting out with the lawnmower and paving this beautiful flat journey for their child. So there's no obstacles, no adversity, nothing for them to overcome. But of course, they get to adolescence and adulthood, and they've never had to fight for anything. Then anything comes along with an obstacle, and they're like, I shouldn't have to fight for this. Smooth the way for me. Someone ruffled this out. But this is what life is about. We have to overcome challenges. We've got to find our individuality. And this is what I feel is being taken away from so many of these kids. Sure, some of them may have gender dysphoria in some context, but most are going through some personal journey that they need to work out. They need to be provided with the resources so they don't completely crash and burn, but let them go and kind of work out your journey, traverse this journey of life that we all need to get to. And usually we all come out in the end much, much better for the process, because it makes us who we are today.
Well, John, did you have a question? You just broke up when you were asking a question, so
yeah, dropped out, all the rest of it.
did you have a question?
Look, so Glenn Greenwald, who's very famous for the whole Edward Snowden expose and one of the world's leading journalists, he uses this thing about the gay LGBTQ, the gay equality, same-sex marriage debate. And he says, once a social movement achieves its initial aims, it often builds up such initial momentum, funding and government support that it becomes self-sustaining. And this is a direct quote from him. What changed is that the LGBT, etc., activist groups could not afford to attain victory. When activist groups win, their reason for existing and their large budgets and salaries dry up. They always have to push debates into whatever places Americans, in this case Australians, of course, resist. They also have to be losing, have a claim to victimhood, a reason to assert that they are righting the bigotry that they face. And that's and he argues that whole gay movement, which has already achieved legal equality, marriage equality, etc., because there were hundreds of millions across the spectrum employed and a huge social movement, that they have to keep going. They have to find a new target, and that's why you get all these claims of trans genocide and all the rest of it. So, what do you think about that argument?
That's that's really, really interesting. I've actually said it a few times, and I don't know if I've said it publicly, so this is probably going to be a little bit of a controversial statement that I'll make. but also if you have a think about the LGBT groups, movements, progress, so much wonderful work has been done. There was absolutely a place and need for them to be established because people, gay and lesbians, were being oppressed, beaten, killed, discriminated, everything. And it was time to stand up and say, hey, we're here, we exist. For God's sake, can you just get over yourselves and at least just let us exist and let us be? Now, I think activist groups, in my view, there is absolutely a role, but the whole, if you get down to it, the fundamental purpose is to acquire acceptance and visibility in society as a difference. And really, there should be an end goal in mind. And the end goal should be the group's obsolescence. They should get to a point where, if successful, it means gay and lesbian people and people of difference are just acknowledged and accepted in society. Great. We don't need to play victim anymore. Let's get on with it. So ideally, these groups should be working towards their own obsolescence. But I'm pretty sure none of them have that in mind. They're going to, like you said, John, they're going to continue to fight victimhood and oppression. And like you said, if they lose funding, they want to maintain their existence. So they're going to find some other new victimhood flag to start waving to get funding and recognition for. And it's probably a difficult line to draw, as in, when has an activist group actually achieved their goal, and are they needed any longer?
Yeah. Another question here. This is because it's the question they have now. You have the right and the left saying, the right is saying you can't change biology, so and the left is saying that sex you're born with, a gender are completely different. That's another argument going on. What are your thoughts on that thing? So when you transitioned, what were you hoping to get from the transition? If you knew biology couldn't change, you knew you couldn't get a uterus and stuff. So what was it that helped you fix whatever was, driving you almost to suicide previous? What was the change?
Like, fundamentally, I guess, is providing a congruence for how I feel, we feel, and our physical body and how we present to the world around us. So just for sake of clarity, I'm under no delusion that I've changed sex. You can't change sex. Sex is binary and it's immutable. You do not change sex. I still have, for me, XY chromosomes. Physiologically and biologically, I'm male. That will never, ever change. I present myself as a woman in society and do the best that I can. And I like to think that I exercise some level of respect for society. And I guess I just hope I'd get that back. And generally, for the last 3 decades, that's been absolutely fine. And that's how it is. I don't go and barge in anywhere that I don't feel I belong. I don't have many friends in my position, but we all agree as well. There's just certain places that we don't go. We know that we don't have a right to go, but we're fine being able to live through life. So it's almost like those of us that do transition with surgical intervention seem to usually have a realistic view on life and the physical circumstances that we're in. But it's almost like the less someone does in the sense of medical intervention, the more vocal they want to become, or they do become, in demanding that society around them accept who they are and what they say they are, with kind of doing less work themselves. So less work they do, they want society around them to accept whoever the hell they want to say they are.
Can I say another interesting thing? Once you'd actually transitioned, did another journey begin then? So, okay, I fixed that, whatever problem that was with me. Now I'm going looking for who I am. Did you actually start a journey of going, oh, who am I now? Was it different from who you were before?
Yeah, it's interesting because, so I've often said for many years in my own journey, while I was going through the deepest of my dilemma, it was almost as if a pause button was clicked onto my life, and I was just so consumed with my own life and thoughts and cycling around. I was going through daily motions, get a job, earn money, eat, sleep, and so on. But when I finally had surgery and completed transition, it's like that pause button was lifted, and it's like, oh, wow, his life, but I've just missed out on about 15 years of life, and I got no idea who I am. So here I am in mid 20s, late 20s, getting into 30s, but pretty much just a teenager still, as far as, and I use the term lightly, as a woman, living as a woman, I've got to go find myself and learn myself and who I am. And, so much of that comes through us. So there is this incongruence with the world around us. They're viewing this kind of adult that's behaving like a freaking child in some respects, because we are a teenager still. So things take a little while to sort of get back in sync again. But that's our journey. And the journey of discovering ourselves cannot be fast-tracked. You can't skip it. You've got to travel. We all have to travel that journey regardless of how old we are or what's happening in our life. And we get there. And so it's certainly an interesting journey.
Time lags. Can I ask about personal relationships? Because I published this book some years back called She Said, She Said, which I've sent the link through to Michael. But it's a great cover. I love the cover. And she was the author, Anne Reid. She was a Brisbane housewife with a husband, 3 kids. He was butch as, by all reports, liked his still played football, and was an ex-army, rugged male. And one day he just sits down with her and says, "We need to talk." And it just came completely out of the blue for this woman. And she was so bewildered and confounded by it, because they stayed together. So suddenly, from having this butch army bloke, she's in a same-sex relationship. So it was, the whole thing was, and she wrote this really interesting and moving book about the whole thing, which was introduced here by Kate McGregor, who you might know, and in Sydney, and got a bit of coverage anyway on the ABC, etc. So how did your personal relations change? What did your parents say and think? What did your lovers and all the rest of it, all that?
Look, I was lucky to have, supportive parents. My parents are always lovely, supportive. My sister, love them all to pieces. And so I was very lucky. I transitioned. I was at the same job for 16 years. I was there for 8 years. Then I transitioned. Then I came back and I was there for another 8 years. And, after a couple of years, the guys just forgot about my journey. A lot of my friends and social life, that changed, which is understandable. And, different interests and, different sex for all sense and purposes. And, I don't know, it was all good. It's just one of those things you go through. I think things change.
Yeah, we had a sub-editor at the Sydney Morning Herald in the early 80s that went off and transitioned, and it was so unusual. And so we were all called together on the news floor and told how to behave when she came back, and we were to treat her as a normal person, blah, blah, blah. And now, having known her all these decades, she was a fearsome sub-editor. We were all terrified of her as young reporters. But anyway, now I can't even remember what she was like as a bloke. Just cannot remember what she looked like. It's just because she's, decades. Must be nearly over 40 years, and that was the same thing. She stayed with the same lover. She stayed with a girlfriend. They're still together after all 50 years or something. And
there's 2 more questions I have, Mianna. I'm just going to look for this thing. I can't find it now. One other issue, the main issue that we're having, I think that people are getting arced up about, is that a man can decide in the morning, okay, I'm a woman today, and suddenly he's a woman. It's like man and woman, there's no differences. It's like, sliding door, go in and go that. And so suddenly you've got a guy with a beard like me wants to be seen as a woman, go in women's spaces. And this is what's really pissing people off. And the fact that it's been forced into the schools, and I feel that childhood's been taken away. And it makes us question. Suddenly people are asking question, what is a woman and stuff like this, and questions we've never had to ask before because, it's been self-evident. But going back to yourself, I have to say this from the beginning. I've known you. I've interviewed you twice. I've met you. I get on with you. I think of you as a woman. I just do. It's this. I know you've been a man, but you've been through the hard yards. The journey was yours. You had to do it. I think of you as a woman. So that's it. And I think that's because there's been a journey, and I understand the journey. You know what I mean? It was really important for you, and I love you. So it's like, yeah, no worries. But the other thing is going, and this is just the curiosity of us, mine, and this is ones who haven't been on the journey. The moment you wake up in hospital and the operation is finished, that must be an extraordinary moment, like being born again or just something. There's no going back. This is it. All the psychological testing, everything you've been through, suddenly here you are, you've crossed the bridge and the bridge is burning. What is that like?
Look, it is a moment that is probably indescribable, really. I don't want to go into it too much. Probably the most profound time for me, yes, was waking up, but probably on the table prior to going into surgery, going, oh my God, this is actually about to happen.
Yeah.
And
Did you have any doubt then?
Oh no, shit, no, none at all. Just couldn't wait for it
courage.
to go and happen.
Takes huge
courage. It's lovely that people say this, but this has nothing to do with courage. It's survival. And then an example I use, is if people were on a ship a few kilometers out to sea and it sinks and you're stuck in the ocean and you can see land a few kilometers over there, it might be a little bit insurmountable, but we have this sense of survival. And are people going to swim for shore to survive, or are you just going to sink and drown?
Oh, I get it. I get it. I'm not sort of seeing bravery.
No.
This was like, this is my only option to life. If I can't go here, I can't live in this realm.
Yeah.
This is my only option.
Yeah.
So I'm doing this not to try become someone else. I'm doing this to become me. I feel this is the only chance I have.
Yeah, and whatever that is. And just there's kind of a few questions in there. One of them is, lovely. Thank you for your words and your sentiments. And I guess for me, my journey through life is people will take me as they perceive that I am. Just take me as I am, and you call me what you want. I don't really care. But going back to your very first point of how we've gotten to the point in legislation now in many countries around the world and most states in Australia where, yes, any man can wake up and go, I think I'm a woman. I'm a woman, go to a doctor. Now they can go and get the hormones, get the birth certificate changed, and then get all legal recognition as women in society with no medical intervention whatsoever. And no, that's fucking, no way, that's wrong. That is not right. And this is where things have gone too far. And it's also where it poses a dilemma for me that I've had this journey in professional golf and professional women's sport. But now I'm kind of standing up and basically saying, no, it's gone too far. This can't happen. The people that come first when it comes to women's sport is women and girls. Women and girls should not be trampled for the likes of some mental condition and others that are having a bit of a trouble in society, because in sport, you're talking about physical aspects, a physical performance. And we know that there is a clear physical difference between men and women. We won't need to get into the impacts of transition that play a role in this. But this is also why, I was invited onto SBS Insight a few years ago in 2022 to speak to this issue as well, which is the link that I sent you. And because there needs to be people speaking up for this. And today we've got women like Sal Grover, who made an app for women called Giggle. And, and she's fighting in court to restore the biological, or the definition of biological sex, for God's sake.
The lesbians just won a case that it's a lesbian-only space. No, because there were men who were transitioning who said, we're a lesbian, we're trying to get in, and they've won that case. They were thinking of coming on, but they didn't.
Yeah.
But just going back, though, the reason I said that I think of you as a woman is because we talk about this issue a lot. We are just seen as anti-trans. That's what we're seeing.
Really?
It's just, oh yeah, non-stop now. Zionist,
Oh God.
Freemason, every word you can think of, they call us. But the thing is, this got a society, you can't talk about this. If you talk about this, if you question it, okay, you're anti-trans, you're pushing hate and all this. That's the reason I brought it up. You don't need me to
Right.
define you as a woman. You know this. But on the journey, though, I just want to bring up this other guy. I met an English mechanic who restores old cars. I won't play the whole thing, but when I met him, he wanted to do an interview. Authoritarian sort of rule coming in. It's just been coming in and coming in. And he was born really... And most of the people are standing up to it are in... But when I was watching him, his name's Martin, you'll find the interview. It's a really great interview. He's changing. He says, I'm changing. I'm doing my hair. I'm wearing my nails. So he wears these long nails that are his nails, and he works on mechanics. And I said, how do you not crack a nail? And he goes, I work carefully. And you can see, but you could see that he is. You could feel it in him. He's sort of, I don't know if he's actually going to do the full transition, but I thought this is really interesting because it happens in other animals, happens in frogs, happens in this. I don't know. It's just the sort of thinking there are certain things that we just don't understand about how life works. You know what I mean? So it's been interesting finding this on the way, you know? So, and we did grow up in a, like I'm 60. So I grew up under this Catholic where everything was clearly defined. That's a man, that's a woman, and they're gay. And I think I was sitting at a dinner party once and I got in a lot of trouble because I was just like eating. And some woman said, homosexuals aren't real. They just do it to defy God. And I just said, you don't take a cock up your ass unless you like it, love. And it was just like, you know, I wasn't re-invited back, but that's the truth. That's the fucking truth.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Sorry, I know it's early morning, but to me, it was like this want to hate, wanted to this, and it was just, that's gone. And it's like Shakespeare says, we don't know about that. I know I can't say his quote, but we don't know how it all works. And there's all these things in it. And it must have been really tough for you to try to explain to people, I think I'm a woman in your era. It must have been so tough in that era to go, yeah, what? You know, it's just, you think, you know, you mean a drag queen? You want to be a drag queen? You want to be a showgirl? You know, and so that, you know, so it's I really admire you for coming on because you're talking about a path that hardly any of us take. And you've taken it a long time ago. And now there's more people taking it. And the really only thing behind this is a duty of care to these people that are taking it, just to make sure it's the right path for them because you can't come back.
No.
You know?
No. We've got to look after the kids.
So what do you think? What do you think about that whole idea that we're in a spiritual war, both in the physical realm with Iran and the threat of atomic war just around the corner, and the whole idea that there's also a spiritual, invisible war, and that this whole thing is part of that it's Satan versus God sort of thing, good versus evil, and that this is one of the manifestations of a corrupted physical realm. What do you think about all that stuff that's flying around?
You know, there's so much of it. And to be honest, I don't know if I could succinctly put words to it. We've certainly, many of us have discovered that most of life is a lie. It's a freaking lie. Yes. So much of it. And we just keep learning. We're uncovering more and more and more. And it's like, we don't even know what's true anymore. And yes, there's... I don't know, the good and evil and the spiritual war. Yes, I think all of the above. We're being subjected to so much, and I think we can too easily get bogged down in it if we really try and decipher it and work it out. For me, my response is to kind of step back and disconnect from it and go, oh boy, all right, I'm just going to kind of walk my path wherever that is, and that's my journey, and it isn't going to be any different. And that was also, I guess I've had practice. This is what I did before I went into professional golf, was I sold everything and I wanted to pursue professional golf, and it was like putting my arms up to the universe and go, here I am, show me which way I need to go. And that's somewhat still the journey that I'm on, and I don't know how to take on those issues that you bring up, John, because I think they exist. I think they're very real, and they're immense, have been happening for a long time. And I think maybe the best we can do, maybe this is just my perspective, is to be aware of it, maybe realize most things aren't as we've been told they are. And let's again go and forge our new journey and our new future as well. And find the people along the way. Like I've now found you guys, I found Michael and Kelly and Hoodie and so many other people that we've had in this freedom journey. Most of us went to Canberra. You know, we all know what that means. We don't have to explain what going to Canberra meant.
That's exactly right.
There are so many of us there. And there is this wonderful new family that's not only in Australia, but worldwide. And we're growing. We're growing. There is this new future, and we're all walking this new path. And I think these turmoils that you speak of, they need us to be embroiled in their anxiety. They need us to be embroiled in the fight with them. And that's going to keep us in their space. We need to step out of that and go, nah, that doesn't serve us anymore. We're not going to achieve anything by fighting you, by fighting that, because you're already so immense. You've already got the upper hand in this one. We're going to go out and go this way. Here's the light. We're going to go this way. And that's a wonderful journey to be on.
That's interesting, you know, because what you're sort of implying, and what you implied by just being you, is the way they're making us all look like we hate trans and there's this straight trans genocide going on because we're not letting transition. It's just trying to get us divided, and it's all bullshit, actually, because 30 years ago, we were doing it right. We were totally accepting, because it's, as John said in that article, this started in the 1950s. So in the 1950s, it must have been recognized that some people had this real strong feeling they were born in the wrong body and needed to come across, and medical science even then was doing it. I mean, I don't know how they did it. So that's fascinating to know, but it has been going like that. So it sort of shows that we were, and that's where I think another perfect example is I told you, Mianna, in the Swan River. I'm in Perth now. There's this hill that overlooks the city and the river. It's a great view. 150 years ago or something, they had a hospital there for repatriation and disabled people and all this, so they could have the view. Now that's all gone. It's mansions. And so the rich have just taken it over for the view. So it sort of speaks that, you know, we look back, oh, look how draconian and evil we were, but it looks like we actually gave a shit. And we actually just gave a shit about the person who wanted to transition, rather than the virtue signaling we can pump out to how great we are. You know?
Yeah.
It's interesting, isn't it?
It is. Hey, can I digress just briefly? John, did you happen to know a journalist at Sydney Morning Herald called Peter Stone?
No, I remember the name, but didn't know him personally.
We'll get back on track.
We were great mates in the pub or something. I don't know. Oh, God. Have you read that book?
Go on.
Have you read that book, Conundrum, by Jan Morris, a very famous travel writer?
I did, actually.
Yeah. It was published in the early 1970s. But that was a testament to how rare it was that he could write that book about going to Bangkok and, you know, the home of the ladyboys, third gender, as they call it. So, but he had to go there to get the op and all that sort of stuff. And it was I thought, really moving book. I don't know what you made of it, but it's interesting. You didn't take to it?
No, look, I read it so long ago, I can barely remember the contents of it, to be honest.
But it speaks to that, how rare it was that he could write that book, and it was an international phenomenon, as a lot of his books were. It was rare, you know, it was very rare. You had to go overseas.
Probably a notable one that I read was it Chula or Caroline Cossey? And she had a book, My Story, and that was also similar through 60s, 70s. And, you know, she was quite unique, you know, a gorgeous woman, you know, modeling, and just a really interesting story. That one probably stuck with me a little bit more. I did read a few books, but yes, it was still a rare thing. And
do you think we
yeah.
should return to that, it being a rare thing? Not yet. Yeah.
Well, yeah, it's hard to define. I just don't think it should be encouraged or be made easy. I mean, even I and most of us have probably spoken with many gay men, for example, that if they were going through childhood and adolescence now, many of them would probably have been pushed into transition. But
Yeah,
they're quite
that's what
happy
the gay and lesbian
as
community
gay
is
men.
concerned about. The
Yeah,
gay and lesbian concerned that the state is convincing tomboys that they're actually they're supposed to be boys. Where
yeah,
growing up, we knew lots of tomboys who blossomed into beautiful women.
yeah,
And they talk about it. A lot of
And
this,
lots of
and
tricky
the
boys.
same with the feminine
No.
men. The same with the feminine men. We would have been changed too, and pushing it in because there's depression, there's angst, there's a lot of these people are born with an emptiness inside them, and now the state's trying to fill it with you just got to fix it. You're in the wrong gender, which I think is dangerous. To me, I think the individual will be the one who finally decides. Because did anyone force you into deciding you're in the wrong body, or you just came to that
Oh God,
conclusion
no.
yourself?
Oh no, I had nothing but people turning me away from it and looking at me weirdly, and I'd go through. I'd get hassled by guys in cars driving home from work when I was looking kind of androgynous, and so it certainly wasn't an easy journey. But I think if we come to today, you touched on it before, Michael, how you're getting accused of being anti-trans and Zionist and God knows whatever else. It boils down to the fundamental problem that we're not allowed to have debate these days. We're not
That's
allowed
right.
to have discussion on opposing views with intelligent discourse to arrive at some sort of outcome where we might both parties might learn something that we didn't realize previously or didn't know. And as such, and I do believe
how
we
we
all
grow.
believe, we know this has been deliberately manipulated, and this shit has to stop. We've got to be able to have difficult conversations, and they need to be welcomed, and they need to be had with respect as well. It's called debate. It's called being adult, and it's called having a brain and a
Caring,
functioning
giving a shit,
intellect.
empathy.
Yeah,
Let's understand. We're all different. Why is that a bad thing? Let's discuss and understand.
yeah.
That's why I loved you coming on. I knew this was going to be good.
It's spread across so many sections of society now too. You were a racist if you wanted to vote no, or you're basically a moron if you're a climate change skeptic, which is half the population. You're a misogynist if you dare to criticize the family court or the out of control domestic violence regulations.
Sovereign citizen.
It just goes on and on and on. You're right. There is no encouragement for debate whatsoever, and I think it's leading to a real backlash and infanticide of the Australian population. Right, well, it's not infanticide in whatever it is. We're turning the whole.
But that's what's so great about the things that people like Michael do, and so many others, and over so many years, have been facilitating these kind of discussions that we all need to have. They need to be had more broadly in society, and at least Michael is providing a platform like this where those of us can have these discussions, and others that are interested can come and have a listen as well. And hopefully more seeds just get dropped. More seeds get dropped. People go and have discussions. Oh, I heard this thing the other day. They were actually talking about this. I didn't realize that. Blah, blah, blah. Let's have the discussion. But I think just, gently challenge people to have the discussion rather than being shut down.
15 years ago, sorry, John, 15 years ago when I was probably more trammy, when I was tram driving through Kew, Kew's very sort of upper middle class. And there was a guy who used to get on my tram. I'm only short. He's about my height. He's probably in his late 60s. He had a beard exactly like mine. And he used to wear like his black negligee or a black negligee looking thing that obviously, and he'd have a handbag and he'd just get on and he'd sit there on the tram. I remember him sitting next to this big Maori guy, and the Maori guy sort of looked at him and then just had a little smile to himself, and everyone else just had a bit of a smile, like, oh, that's unusual. And then no one gave a shit. And I remember thinking, this is Melbourne. I fucking love Melbourne. You get on looking like me in a dress, people go, yeah, you don't see that every day. And no one gives a shit.
Who
They're living
cares?
their own life. We were already there. We were
Yeah.
already incredibly tolerant, incredibly accepting. We don't care. In fact, we actually like it. You know what I mean? This is something, you know, we have people come down from the country like, holy crap, man. But go, no, this is Melbourne, mate. You know what I mean? You haven't gotten to King's Cross yet. This is Melbourne. We're like, you know, and I used to love that. And now we got this crazy thing where we're all right wing, we all hate everyone, and we're all racist, and they're making us something that we are not. And we just weren't. And we grew up in that era. So I'm really proud that I'm in an era where I share with someone like you, Mianna, where you have this thing and our society goes, okay, let's help. Let's help. Let's get you through it. And I think we should have paid for it, to be honest. I don't think it's your problem that it's not like you broke a bone on a motorbike accident like I did, you know, and I got it all for free. You know, this was your issue and you did it. So I think we should have paid for it, to be honest. I think we should care. Caring should be at the foundation of our society. At the moment, it's greed and division, which I think is leading to somewhere we can't, it's not conducive to our human souls or our Australian souls.
No, exactly. We shouldn't play into it. I just want to quickly digress and say thank you to Jan Murphy. She's dropped a couple of lovely comments.
Yeah, she said she could listen to you for hours.
She's on, yeah. Or maybe she's ready. You ready, Jan? You want to go over? You want to cross, Jan?
That's great.
Oh, there's been some lovely comments too. Thanks, everyone.
No hate. The only hate is against someone came up and that's just a traditional, and they might be bots. And that's the sad thing about the trolls nowadays. We can't tell you apart from a bot because you're just so full of hate. There's no context to your comments. It's just hate. And so we take them all as bots. That's why we ban them.
Has there been any questions that I've missed? I've seen a few things come up, but obviously it's difficult to read.
I think Richard did one. I see Tran. What's his name? Jason wants to know Rachel Hetherington. Did Mianna play with her?
No way. Actually, I never did play with Rachel, but I did meet her a couple of times. We crossed paths. Beautiful, beautiful girl. Oh my God, loved Rachel. Yeah.
Denise, you also look lovely, but that's she's talking to John.
Yeah, clearly.
I wish.
And
you're welcome.
Yeah, and I'd love to see Mianna as a regular guest. Look, the thing is about Mianna is once you get this out the way, and she's actually got a lot to offer on lots of different subjects. This is not like she's not a one-trick pony. This is it. I can do trans stuff. That's all I can talk about, trans stuff. I don't know how anything else works. You know?
Yeah, I'll turn the recorder off now.
I'm trying to hide the fact how much of a conspiracy theorist she is, so we actually show goes further. If they knew, she's like the transition version of Cafe Lockdown. You know, it's just
now on this climate change thing. Yeah, no.
And on this gender identity thing, I'm on this Zoom meeting with some people who are transitioning, and sometimes, and it just consumes their entire identity. For years on end, they're talking to each other about which hormones and voice coaches and the dressing advice and the social advice. It just completely consumes them. So it's interesting that we're in the midst of this major revolution in media. You know, Tucker Carlson is getting 50 million views each episode across his platforms, where Michael's getting significant numbers across the various platforms, and the ABC is dying. You know, $1.2 billion for a dying format. You know, News Limited. Who's going to pay a subscription for the Australian or the Daily Telegraph? And, you know, everyone that watches Sky is over 60. It's just like, it's all dying. And so this is a new format, which is really becoming significantly powerful and is a much more user-friendly, much more interesting platform.
Well, I don't think the ABC can come back because they don't like us. So they don't want to share stories of the other side. They don't. They've got it's tribal for them now. So they just can't do it. I listened to him the other night, something called The Chasers, where it was just a propaganda attack on Trump from beginning to end. You know what I mean? It's just there was no balance at all.
1.2 billion.
It was just no
1.2
balance. I don't care if you
billion
attack Trump, but there was no balance, you know? Yeah.
Mm.
Anyway, we have another interview to get to, John, at 9:30, and I need to do some other
Physical function.
movements. Yeah. Thanks for coming on, Mianna. So great to see you
so
again.
lovely.
Yeah.
Lovely
Yeah,
to have you again, Michael. Lovely to meet you, John. Thank you so much
Yeah,
for the opportunity. And,
Yeah,
I
if you
hope
want
you
to come
come
on and
back
talk
on.
about any of the other issues, you know, doors always open here. We just love discussion. This is what it is now, discussion. You know?
yeah, look, I do have to go soon. I've got an appointment. I've got to get my 11th booster.
Yeah. Good luck. I hope you survive this one as well.
Yeah, wish me luck.
They're literally up to number 10 at the local GP.
Oh, we
Are they really?
interviewed Kimberly Biss in America. She's met someone who's had 11.
Ew.
And a psychiatrist told me the other pharmacist who might talk to us, who's never jabbed anybody. He's getting ready to talk to us. He was talking of someone coming in going, is the new COVID ready here? And they're up to 10. So, you know, maybe it's not a big killer. Who knows? Maybe some people, I don't know. I don't know how any of it works. I don't know.
Oh, no.
An old hippie in a bus. Yeah, no worries. Okay, I'm going to go. Take care, Mianna. Thanks for coming on back.
So lovely. Thank you, guys. Thanks,
See you,
everyone.
John. See you
Very
in
nice
about
to meet
15 minutes. Yeah.
Okay.
See ya. This undo what's been undone is not a dig at Mianna.
Only me, who's not too blind to see what's happening today. The world has lost its way. The signs are all around, in the air and on the ground. They're taking all our rights. We've been taken for a ride. Books always said there'll be deception at the end. Two worlds will collide. It's all hidden in plain sight. There ain't no common sense. It's just college ignorance. The grooming and the lies. Well, it's a devil in disguise. But everyone obeys with what the media portrays. Fighting black against the white, fighting left against the right, fighting woman against man. Do you really understand? Divided we will fall, but united we'll stand tall. Together all as one, let's undo what's been undone. Erasing history, eradicating family, when nothing's what it seems. Well, that's how the end begins. The writing's on the wall, the dominoes are fixed to fall. You cannot save your skin by selling off your soul. But everyone obeys with what the media portrays. Fighting black against the white, fighting left against the right, fighting woman against man. Do you really understand? Divided we will fall, but united we'll stand tall. Together all as one, let's undo what's been undone. fighting left against the right, fighting woman against man. Do you really understand? Divided we will fall, but united we'll stand tall. Together all as one, let's undo what's been undone. Divided we will fall, but united we'll stand tall. Together all as one, let's undo what's been undone. Is it only me?
John, can you hear me?
Yeah.
We have to go on to the other link to do
All
the next